let's come to the practices of presence and mindfulness. Stress-free living is being aware of or bringing attention to this present moment in time without judging the experience, even without trying to derive the meaning of that experience. There are mainly two qualities. One, what is the meaning or purpose of this experience? Because your mind needs to understand so that it knows the meaning and purpose. And the second quality is judgment, which is negative quality of the mind. Judging the present experience, so following the negative path. So whether you're trying to positively derive the meaning of the present experience or following a negative path, one way or another, it's still a linear manner. It's still a rational way of perceiving reality. So the higher way, and this is why yesterday I mentioned neutrality, emptiness, silence, peacefulness, space, is because you're not looking for meaning, and neither you're judging what is happening. So you're staying centered neutrally in your experience. Now this is something that the mind is not used to, because it needs pedaling, it needs some juice to keep on going, you know. So what's the meaning? What's the next thing? I want to understand more and more and more and more and more, and it never ends. It's a bottomless pit, you know. You just keep on throwing knowledge, it never ends. There is more and more and more. So the mind will never be fulfilled with understanding, with knowledge, even with meaning, although that's deeper quality of the mind, meaning, purpose, but it's still quality of the mind. So the real fulfillment must come from somewhere deeper, not from the mind, from the source, from your true self. So you transcend in this practice of presence, mindfulness, you transcend your mind with all the meanings, understandings, purposes and knowledge, and you transcend all the judgments, all the negative patterns, including the fears. So it's a continuous recentering. It's a continuous way of rebalancing, recentering yourself. Your mind goes right or left, doesn't matter. Always remember to recenter yourself, to rebalance yourself in a neutral manner. Sometimes it's called observation. You're familiar, many of you, observation with the higher self. So that is a step forward, already a one level of transcendence. But presence is far more than the higher self. It is transcendent of energy too. So being completely neutral, completely centered, completely present, even not paying attention to energy either. So that is presence, being here now, with what is, neutrally. Neither like this, nor like that. Sometimes it's called walking on the razor edge. You know, you're walking on a glass or on a razor edge. It's not like this, not like that. You just have to be very in the center and very neutral. Because if you imagine you're walking on a rope, so your mind is a rope. And imagine you're walking on the rope. If you swing to the right, you're gonna fall. If you swing to the left, you're gonna fall. So only if you keep on being centered, you can walk straight, present, aware, conscious, which is the vertical reality beyond the past and future. Okay, so the first exercise is to be present with your breath. And minding the breath can be like taming a wild horse. The aspiration is to tame your breath with kindness and without breaking its spirit. So this is why I said that it's a practice and you feel it's getting too much, you can't handle it anymore, so don't break your spirit. Let it go, relax, take it easy, do something else, go for a walk, just allow things to be processed. Because this is a very intense practice. We are stopping the mind. So the breath is a very wonderful tool that we all have. And we simply need to learn how to use it. How to use it for the purpose of connecting with ourself. The breath, of course, already has a function to sustain your body with oxygen. But you can also use your breath to connect with yourself. Because if you are in the mind, you are not present, you are somewhere else, and the breath is like an anchor for a ship. You throw in the anchor, which means you bring your attention to your breath, and immediately your ship is anchored in the wavy sea. It's no longer being tossed around and floating wherever the waves are taking it. So you're anchoring yourself. You're reconnecting with yourself. So the practice of breath is the very foundational practice of any meditation. And you can simply read through on your own time of this little practice and to follow it through in your own time. Let's proceed further. The second practice is to talk with your emotions. This is a bit more engaged practice, to talk with your emotions and to let them go. So I will simply add what is not written here, because you can read it yourself. I will add some other comments of how you can improve with the practice. So you can actually talk to your emotions. First of all, you need to recognize that your emotions, in a correct way of seeing, they are your friends. In a correct way of seeing, your emotions are your friends. Now, when you have certain, what is called negative emotions, anger and sadness, depression and any other, and fear and so forth, these are still your friends, but they're those who have the negative influence. You know, when you were a teenage, your parents were very worried about certain friends that you had. You know, because some friends are good, they're very supportive, they're, you know, really helping you out. But certain friends are the bad influence, you know, they're trying to drag you down. So life has already showed you this. And now coming closer to the relationship with life is to recognize that your emotions are your friends. The correct way of seeing, to know that your emotions are your friends, you immediately disidentify that this is me. You understand? You disidentify that this is my sadness, my anger. It's mine, mine, mine. The ego has really possessed life to say that everything is mine. In a correct way of seeing is to recognize, to disidentify that they are your friends. And that already implies that they're not yours. They're your friends. They come, they go. They come, they go. Emotions come and go. So they're not really yours. Nobody can claim that, maybe fortunately nobody has patented that anger is theirs. Now corporations can patent anything. In reality, anger is just one energy which everybody feels, and everybody has a relationship with the energy of anger. Emotion means energy in motion. Emotion, energy in motion. So anger is the same energy. There is only one anger in the whole universe. It's the same energy that everybody has a relationship with. Your individual relationship. So when you recognize that your emotions are your friends, of course love, happiness, peacefulness are your best friends. They're beautiful friendships. They're the ones who uplift you and bring you higher. But you have to really mindfully, we may say, to examine and contemplate your friendships. So you do need to contemplate, and I will give you one exercise as well, to write down in your notes what are your friends, and put them in two columns. The positive friends and the negative influence friends. And just to simply write down the ones that you're mostly, you can at first even categorize your friends. You can make at the top a list, my besties. At the top of the list you can write down my besties, my best friends. The ones that you spend most time with. The ones that you spend most time with are your best friends, isn't it? Even if you hate them, they're still your best friends, because you spend most time with them. And then you can write down my regular friends, and then the seldom meetings. So you can kind of categorize positive, negative, my besties, my kind of more regular ones that you kind of meet, and then the ones that are seldomly coming. You will have a good picture of your friendships, your inner friendships. In a correct way of seeing, this is absolutely true what I'm saying right now. Because those who have a vision, the spiritual vision, they can see every emotion has an entity. It is an entity. In Hindu, they have identified those entities and they have categorized them. 300,000 positive and negative ones. 300,000. But you can make a list simply like 10 positive, 10 negative ones and categorize my besties and the second and the third level. So in Hindu they have identified 300,000 names, and they have even drawn pictures of them. And they did a good job, because those who have a vision, they can see that yes, these are entities. They're not visible, but they're real. And these are your friendships. They're real friendships. You don't need to be afraid of anything, because you've already been living your whole life like that. So if you're saying like, oh my gosh, like, what are these things? You felt them thousands of times already. You communicated with them thousands of times already. Now I'm simply sharing the truth. I'm illuminating the way it really is. Opening your vision, more awareness, expanding your awareness to what already is, to the way that life already was happening. So you can speak to your emotions. I will correct even myself. You can speak to your best friends' emotions. They're not your emotions. They're your best friends that visit you, that influence you, that make you feel with their influence the way you feel. And the power is, first of all, awareness, which now everybody is expanding. The second step of power is knowledge, which everybody is now attaining of how it really is. The third step of power is to communicate or to become aware of these friendships and to be centered with yourself. So that's where the practice already comes in. To come back, to pause, to stop for a moment, to be centered and follow the 4 steps. So you see, I'm going to expand on yesterday, and then we're going to speak more and more. What is happening in our lives is nothing new. I'm just saying deeper of what is already happening. So this is the practice of talking to your best friends. And you can choose your friends. You don't like them, change them. You can let them go. You say, how? I say, practice, practice, practice. Makes it perfect. Awareness, truth, knowledge, practice. This is the recipe. That's the complete recipe to make a really nice outcome, to change your life. Okay, we covered the tough part. Now let's cover the easier part. So the other exercise is eating in presence and eating mindfully. This is more about mindfulness, actually. This practice is just to be mindful when you're eating, and there are these beautiful steps. Just a few of them is focus on the food and imagine that you have never seen anything like it before. It's the first time you're looking at it. That is a really good setup. Now, at this point, I would like to expand a bit. It's true. Every moment, you haven't seen it before in the real reality. Every moment is new. Like Buddha said, you cannot step into the same river twice. If we practice this recognition that take every present moment like you have never ever seen it before, So you already step out of your mind which says, I know everything. That's the tree, that's the sun, that's the water. And what you know is simply a mental labels in your head. You're not really looking at the tree. You're not really feeling the sun. You're not really observing the water. You're not really connecting with the environment. Just living in a mental box. So knowledge is a mental box. Being mindful and present is always new. It's always fresh, always alive. So that's another practice of correct way of living. To take everything as if you see it for the first time in your life. Because that will already rewire your system to be aware, to be present, to be open, to continuously ever learn everything. Some of you will think that I know everything. All I know is the present moment, fully. All I know is the present moment fully. The present moment is everything. Is the physicality, is the emotions, is the mind. It's the beingness, it's the soul, it's God, it's consciousness, it's everything. So all I know is that. Consciousness, source, God, present moment. Every moment we may say, this is a bit relative, we may say that I'm learning. In reality, in my reality, every moment I'm simply here, simply one with what is, with the source of the isness. So in my reality, it's always changing. Every moment is changing. Every moment is new, fresh, alive. It's always changing. I'm fully aware of all those changes every single moment. And thus, I never stop learning. So learning, I say it's relative, because there's nothing to learn apart from being that source. But on the journey to be the source, you're learning. You're continuously learning. You're continuously growing, integrating, maturing, balancing, returning, reconnecting with your true self. So practice every moment as if it's completely new and you have never experienced it in your life. When it comes to food, you can even hold it in your hand. Don't be afraid to hold some a piece of salad or kale or spinach in your hand, and to feel the texture. You connect more. You're becoming more aware of. You can smell it. You can observe the details, the curves and shapes and edges. It's so amazing how this vegetable has grown into this particular form and shape. So there are many, many more steps of how you can eat mindfully, completely in the present moment, and go deeper and deeper and deeper into the details of recognition that the salad that you were eating in the past and just putting in your mouth and tossing it away, you were never really eating the salad, you were eating your mind. Your body was eating the salad, but you were eating your mind. Because all your thoughts were somewhere else. You were eating your future, you were eating your past. Just like when you brush your teeth, most of the time it's your body doing the job and your mind is somewhere else. So eating is what we do every day. And you can do the practice to do it mindfully, to do it with awareness. to be with it, not to keep a hold of your mind, to not let your mind get loose. So you keep a hold of your mind, you don't let it loose. This is why there was a quote that your mind is like a wild horse, and you're the one which needs to train it, to retrain it. You are the one who needs to retrain it, to take care of your mind, to keep it always on check, to not let it get loose, and also not to get lost into it. So that is a continuous recentering. Okay, there is another practice, walking mindfully. Walking in the present moment. It's very amazing in Malta because the streets are so narrow, and you walk down the street, it's so narrow, it's just for two people to cross by, and sometimes you see a person and the person walks very quickly, they're very busy, and that was your friend, and they just passed through you. Where were they? They were following their mind. Like the dog, you put like a sausage in front and the dog is gonna chase it, So they were following their mind. They didn't see anything, what was happening around them. Some people even bump into something, into a street light or into another person or so. So when people walk, people usually just follow their minds. They're following the destination and not seeing the journey towards that destination. So the invitation is to walk in presence mindfully. And I will add what is not written here, what relates more to this retreat, is that we will have the lunch break and there will be a few hours free. So you can either stay in the garden or you can even walk around. You can go to, even Tapinu Church is not too far and there are some hills. So you can walk around this area. When you do your walking, the first thing that you can start with is to count your breath. So you count your breath, and generally, let's say 4 breaths is good, 4 seconds or 4 inhalations. So 1, 2, 3, 4, you breathe in. Then 1 or 2 steps you pause, you hold your breath, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 you breathe out, and then 1 or 2 steps you pause, you hold your breath. So when you walk, you can make a pattern of either 4 and 2, inhaling 4, holding 2, exhaling 4, holding 2, or 6 and 3. 6 steps inhalation, holding 3, 6 steps exhalation, holding 3. This is already a very good practice to keep you centered with your breath, to prepare you for breathing exercises, for more advanced breathing exercises, but mainly to keep you being in the present moment. So your mind will be busy following the breath. And the breath is connectedness with you. So you will not wander anywhere around and be with yourself as you walk. Now I will add a little bit extra on this practice, that even as you keep your mind with your breath, you have not only your mind, you have awareness too. So as you walk, Your body is walking, you're counting your breaths with your mind, so your mind is training, but you also have awareness too. And use that awareness to be mindful, to be aware with the environment in which you're walking. So don't put any labels on anything that you see. Even the earth that you walk is the first time you're seeing it in your life. You never walked the same step ever in your life before. Every step is new. So keep your awareness on environment and simply to observe the details, to be aware of the details of environment even as you're walking on the path. So your body is busy, your mind is keeping centered with your breath, counting the breath. When it becomes very accustomed, you can stop counting, you just simply keep your mind with your breath. And then your awareness is already aware of environment. So simply observe the environment. But one caution is don't go into the mind to start thinking of, oh, that's such a beautiful tree. In that moment you lose the practice. So when you walk, if you say, oh, that's a beautiful tree, or that's a beautiful thing, oh, what's this? And you start thinking about it, you already are detouring from your path. So your path is not to get somewhere, is not to get to the church, or not to get to a hill, or not to get somewhere else. Your practice is to walk, is to simply walk wherever your feet are going to take you, is to simply keep hold of your mind with your breath and to stay aware of environment. This is where you're getting. You are retraining. That's where you're walking. That is your path. The destination is not important in the physical sense. The real destination is the practice of where you're really going within you. Okay, there's another exercise called body scan, and this is a really good one. There's a very good explanation already about it written there, and very commonly practiced after yoga classes when you lay down and you connect with your breath, and then you start feeling your body. You're scanning your body from your toes, feeling your toes, relaxing, feeling your legs, relaxing, feeling your knees, relaxing, your hips, relaxing, feeling your belly, relaxing. Every part of your body you're feeling and relaxing as you're feeling that part of the body. So you're scanning from the toes all the way up, feeling relaxing, feeling relaxing. And you finish above your head in the space, peacefulness, stillness. And then you continue the practice. This practice I would suggest to do when you are in bed. Now we have many other practices, so do this practice when you lay in bed already in the evening or in the morning when you wake up. So you're already in your bed. You're not doing anything else anymore. And you can do this practice to fall asleep. To do the practice, to scan your body, it will relax you, it will allow you to process your energies, emotions. So everything will be processed, you will relax, your body expands, your inner space expands, and you fall asleep very easily. So this practice is for your bedtime, when you are already in your bed. And the last one is gratitude practice. Write it down. So you have your notebook, And you can write down what you're grateful for every day. To write a few points, at least 5 points, maybe even 10 points if you can, of what you are grateful for today. Now I will point a few things. Are you grateful for your breath? Because your body is doing an amazing job. Are you grateful for your heart, pumping all these fluids in your body? Are you grateful for your brain, processing 400 billion bits of information every second? Are you grateful to your ears, hearing all the sounds? Are you grateful to your eyes, seeing all the colors, shapes and forms? There is surely many things to be grateful for. And that is the beauty of the real present moment. To recognize the aliveness, the sacredness, love within every moment. It is already here. You only have to see it, to shift your perception. So there are many things to be grateful for.